Pastor Kevin alongside Pastor Jeremy. Wait a second. I'm joined today by Doug. My good friend Doug is going to help us today with our week 10 of our Chanute Church of the Nazarene online interactive Bible study. Thank you for joining us for the first 9 weeks. And if you're behind and you're just now catching up or you're just now tuning into week 10, guess what? On our website, ChanuteNaz.com, you can catch up and watch the previous 9 weeks. And so this week, we're on week 10, and we're going to be in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 1 through 10. Matthew 5, verses 1 through 10. Doug, take it away, brother.
Good. The Beatitudes. Start on chapter 5, verse 1. Now when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. And you're probably wondering where Jeremiah is at today. I'm really not sure where he's at right now, but I'm really thankful that Doug chose to. Thanks, Doug, for sitting in for him today. Hey, quick story. Early on when I was in ministry, I was pastoring at a church in Springfield, and the church was called Springfield Scenic Church of the Nazarene. And my first 6 months that I was there, it was just total disaster. I had no clue how to be a senior pastor. I had no clue how to minister to people. At least I felt like I didn't. And so for 6 months, taking over as senior pastor, it felt like, man, I was in a deep, dark place, and I think I was. And every Sunday after church, I would drive. I would leave church. I would take my wife and kids home, and I would leave, and I would go sit in this parking lot in the very middle of Springfield. It was right behind an Incredible Pizza, the Incredible Pizza there on Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. And I would sit back there, and I would cry my eyes out. And every Sunday after church, I would sit back there and say, God, I'm failing in ministry. God, I'm not doing all that you want me to do. God, I'm feeling like a loser. I'm feeling like, man, I'm just not fulfilling what you want me to fulfill. And let me tell you, during that 6 months when I started pastoring there, and that 6 months, it was extremely dark. And let me tell you, I mourned during those 6 weeks or 6 months. I felt persecuted by the enemy during those 6 months. I felt very, very, very poor in spirit. So I was poor in spirit. I was mourning. I was persecuted, I felt like. And all of these things Jesus talks about in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5. And guess what Jesus says? This is crazy. He says that while I was going through that 6 month period, he said, Kevin, you were blessed when you were going through that. You were blessed when you were mourning. You were blessed when you were persecuted. You were blessed when you're pure in spirit. Doug, Jesus says that I was blessed during that time.
Good. So, what comes to your mind when you think of the word blessed? You might think to yourself a lot of the physical things that God's given us. A roof over our head, food on the table, a good job, maybe even a good church to go to. Yeah. Feel blessed. But Pastor, I'm telling you, it means so much more than just those things.
It does. Jesus said you're blessed. And in the Greek, the word blessed is not like we think of the word blessed or blessed. It literally means this, and I want you to get this at home. Get this. The word blessed literally means God's favor, or it means God's benefits over your life. So Jesus says when you're poor in spirit, when you're down in these dark places in your life, Jesus says you have God's favor and you have God's benefits on your life. Jesus says when you're being persecuted, when those or even physical people, when they're persecuting you for Jesus, for being a follower of Christ, for following God's will when you're being persecuted, Jesus says you have God's favor and you have God's benefit over your life. When you're mourning, when you're any of these things, you don't have to be the things that I mentioned. When you're meek, when you're humble, when you're hungry and thirsting for righteousness, when you're merciful, when you're pure in heart, when you're a peacemaker. Jesus says when you're these things, Jesus says you have God's favor. And Jesus says you have God's benefits over your life. And you know what that means? That means that, man, it's so much more than just a physical blessing. It means that He's close. It means that He cares about you. that he sympathizes with your situation, that he sees your situation, that he's going to come and carry you through your situation. It means so much more than just a physical blessing.
Right. So while you're sitting there listening, whatever you're going through, no matter if you're poor in spirit, no matter if you're mourning, no matter if you've been persecuted by others, whatever it is you're going through, take heart and trust. Trust Jesus through this.
Yeah. He says you're blessed as you go through it. And so remember that. Maybe you're going through something now. Maybe you're going to go through something tomorrow. Maybe you're going to go through something a month from now. I don't know. And God only knows what's in your road ahead. But take heart and take a hold of this truth that Jesus says that you're blessed because you're going through what you're going through. Jesus says he's close and you have God's favor and you have God's benefit over your life. Doug, thanks for sitting with me today.
It's my honor.
Yeah, that's awesome. You probably recognize Doug if you come here on Sunday mornings. Doug is the guy that does our video announcements on Sunday mornings. That you and Ken just do an awesome job, and so thank you for your service to the kingdom. So listen, this is week 10 of our Chinook Church of the Nazarene online interactive Bible study. Thanks for joining us.